Abuja. The program is Issues and Answers, and I am your anchor, Francisca Oga, standing in for Esther Isetin. Now, you might ask yourself, why Issues and Answers? At no other time have Nigerians needed to sit down, take a look, and actually talk about how they feel about the issues bedeviling us as a nation. We are gradually approaching 2019 when the time has come again for us to cast our votes, to decide who takes over the helm of affairs, to decide the people who will chart a course for us as we move towards the future of our great nation. And we have witnessed the beehive of activities in the past few days. All the party secretariats are agog with activities, people picking nomination forms. You know, even though the campaigns have not begun yet, you can see vibes, you can feel vibes from the streets and from every nook and cranny. Nigerians are hungry for, what do I call it, a period like the elections again. The question is, who is eligible to actually stand in for Nigerians come 2019? Who should we listen to? Amongst all the new political parties, what do we expect? Is it just another ruse? Will 2019 come and then we have a fusion and end up with just two major parties taking part in the elections, with the others taking part as mere onlookers, as we've had in some of the election years we had? All of these and more are what we'll be looking at today on Issues and Answers. I have with me in the studio the national president and the presidential aspirant for one of the new political parties, is Mr. Tope Fasua of the Abundant Nigeria Renewal Party. We're going to be asking him some of these questions on Issues and Answers, and trust me, he's going to give us some answers today. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon. Thanks for inviting me here.
Now, let's start from ANRP. You said your party is the Abundant Nigeria Renewal Party. Can you shed some light on the choice of the name?
Oh, fantastic. That's a question we don't get asked very often, but when we were going to set up the party, we needed to have a name. We needed to have a name that would show that we were coming to do something new, because, of course, the field, the terrain is now crowded. It wasn't even that crowded then. We had 46 parties at that time, so we needed something that would show that. So hence the name Renewal. We also needed that party, because we were fairly young people coming together. We needed the word party in the name. It wasn't going to be anything like movement and all of that. We wanted it to be about Nigeria, so we had Nigeria must be there. It's not like these young people are coming with crazy ideas from abroad. We didn't want anything like revolution or whatever that will put people off and make it look like it's a party of hot-headed people. And then, of course, just before we moved to INEC, your thoughts was that being that we're coming and the terrain may get crowded, it may be important to find an A name to put out somewhere up front. And so we looked around and we thought that the name Abundant hasn't been used by anyone. And so we adopted that. If you arrange Nigeria's parties alphabetically right now, not the acronym, we're still number one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a good strategy there. Now, talking about strategies, outside the shores of Nigeria, when you hear a political party, most times you can spot their ideology just by hearing the name. So what is the ideology for ANRP?
Yeah, ordinarily you needn't be able to spot the ideology by looking at the name of a party, except those parties that had been formed a long time ago. As I was coming here, I was reading something about federalism, and I could see all the ups and downs that the United States has gone, and even the argument between Thomas Jefferson and Alexander Hamilton about the use of the word federalism. Hamilton was using federalism to justify a strong government in the center. Jefferson was using federalism to justify, power at the state level. You understand? Which is still the argument we're having in Nigeria. So we're very interested.
Okay, so where does ANRP stand when it comes to before we go back to the ideology, you've mentioned something. Oh. Weak center, strong basis, and then...
No, weak center. Weak center is what we're about.
Okay.
At most, we prefer like the matter of allocation formula, not more than 25% should go to the federal government. And we believe that the local government should get the bulk of the money, like 40% of the money, and the state 35%. However, there's something in our constitution that's called a joint account. And that joint account is the reason why the states are the ones administering all the finances going to local government. In fact, they collect all the money from federal government, and it's whatever they like they send to local government. And since they started that, it wasn't like that in the early part of Obasanjo's government, but since they started that idea, I think maybe under Yar'Adua's government, whatever, the local governments have gone downhill. It used to be bad before. that local government chairmen will appear in local government secretariat, share money and go. Now nothing happens. Most of our local government chairmen, they don't live in their local government anymore. You know, I mean, it's a very unfortunate what has happened. So we prefer a weak center. However, that money that will go to the local government should be jointly administered by a team of federal, state, and local governments. You know, we prefer that, and again, going back to my discussion about federalism, that there's nothing wrong, okay? As we speak now, there's still arguments going on about federalism, even in the U.S., where the term federalism was actually evolved. You know, there's still discussion going on. There's nothing called true federalism. Every nation has a right to bring out the type of federalism or the type of system of government that works for it. What we haven't had in this country is that we stopped discussing. We stopped that constructive argument since 1999. The politicians that came, they sat on everything. Everybody is perpetuating themselves. Many of the politicians that have been there since 1999, many of them in the Senate, House of Reps, they're still there. Some of them have graduated to governor. Some have gone and done governorship. They're back in the Senate. So even when people talk about the youth are not in government, the truth is that the youth get involved in government. People like Donald Duke, they were like 38 when he became governor of Cross River State. Can you believe that? And many young people got involved, but they're still, most of them, if not all, except some of them that have died or whatever, are still in the process. And some of them have also brought their children into the process. You have people going for Senate now, and their children are going for House of Assembly. Okay. Yeah, so what it tells you is that, look, in this country, nobody is thinking for the collective. Everybody is thinking for themselves, especially in politics, and this is a time for the youths of this country to step up. Our ideology.
That brings us to the ideology now.
So our ideology is clear. As a matter of fact, the story about our ideology is that when we were coming together, because we're just youth, and yeah, look, I'm not quite a youth anyway, but a lot of us were youth, and you know, some of us are just over the threshold of being called a youth, you know. But so we're coming from different places. The first thing we said was that anybody that would join this party, we want you to be people that have jobs. We don't want people to be professional politicians. That's one. And however, if you don't have a job and maybe you're a graduate or you've left secondary school, whatever, send us your CV or your name and all of that, your phone number, because there are job opportunities that we're aware of from time to time will help you. So that was how we started. So we were coming from different, a lot of us were private sector people who had never been involved in politics. So some people had socialist background or thinking, some people had capitalist thinking. The idea was now, okay, what kind of ideology? So we had to discuss it organically among ourselves. What do? We now realize that a country like the USA is meant to be capitalist, but they have a very extensive social program for their people. They have food banks where they have food stamps, they have Obamacare that takes care of everybody's health. You can see that the government is efficient in those places. It takes care of people and treats them like human beings. And you go to the same in most of Europe. Then you go to China. It's meant to be a socialist country, but now you can see that China has evolved into capitalism, state-led capitalism. So we realize that, look, we can't box ourselves into capitalism or socialism. We have to think with common sense. Our ideology is based on common sense, that whatever kind of policy, wherever it may come from, whether it's socialist, capitalist, liberal, neoliberal, libertarian, neo-libertarian, whatever kind of policy we're using, but so long as we can fit it to Nigeria and Nigeria's people as at now, and say that this will work for our people now, that's what we're going to use. So we call it constructive and positive pragmatism. That's our ideology, constructive and positive pragmatism. So we choose the best from everywhere. We use common sense at every point in time. For example, someone will say, oh, this country is meant to be a capitalist country. Capitalist how? We don't even have the capital. All right, even those who are doing local champions here, they don't understand that Nigeria is not playing at all in the race for capital. They don't even understand what's going on in other parts of the world. But we cannot pursue capitalism in Nigeria when you have almost 90 million people living from hand to mouth. 90 million people, extremely poor people, the highest number in the world. You'll be a criminal to say you want to practice pure capitalism in Nigeria. We have to first of all take care of those, because the countries you are trying to copy, the countries in Europe, the countries in the United States and so on, they are not just practicing capitalism, they're not just practicing, they are taking care of their people first, making sure their people are not living like animals. This is a country where since 1960 we have never had any plans For example, for housing for our people in the villages. Village people, when they grow up, they build houses with mud anywhere from the north of this country to the south of this country, east and west. They build houses with mud. The government doesn't care whether you build the houses well, whether it has ventilation and all. So those are areas of intervention that we need to talk about. And it's only a government of common sense that will do that for us.
Okay, let me take you up on the issue of housing.
Yeah.
We have various housing schemes that we've seen in the past. You have the NSITF, you have the Federal Mortgage Bank giving out loans and all of that. But we haven't seen any impact
They can't have impact
on the grassroots. So I would ask you, what are your plans actually? It's not all about talk, because as they would say, talk is cheap. What is your strategy for bettering the lot of the grassroots people? Okay,
listen, the point is this, in solving a problem, the first thing you have to do is to identify the problem properly. You mentioned the NFITF, Federal Mortgage, and as I was coming to your station, I saw there's another one there, and I just took a glance at the signboard, and it's telling me, gated community, generating. That has no plan at all for the people of this country. And just yesterday, I was passing another one that was totally empty. And I'm wondering, why are we building all of these empty things? We build luxury in a country where we don't need luxury. What we need are the basic stuff. These 89 to 90 million people that are extremely poor in this country do not need luxury housing. So first of all of those projects you have mentioned will fail, have failed and will continue to fail for as far as the eye can see, because they are vanity projects in a country that is in need of basic stuff. Again, I'm mentioning to you that remember the village maybe your parents are from. Let me say, you don't look like a village person. So, but the village that your parents are from, for example, think about that village right now. And I want viewers to think about their villages. Government has never been there in those villages. There's absolutely no government there, no housing, no water, no lights. You're almost zero. No schools, no hospitals, no doctors, and no. So the plan is to be able to, first of all, that there's an opportunity at that level. We need to evolve rural housing. We need to evolve a rural renewal as against an urban renewal. We need to know what is the prototype house for our village in the north? What's the prototype house for our village in the south? What can work for them? Okay. Why is government not assisting them? So in talking about that, that is opportunity for construction industry. That is opportunity for rural renewal and an agricultural revolution, because when people start to live in those places and are comfortable to live in their villages, then you would have a revolution going on at that level. And then that's also an opportunity for a reversal of the rural-urban drift. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, and in terms of funding, it is possible. First, the point is, what kind of prototype houses are we talking about? The same mud can be taken to a higher level. The same mud houses can be, we can actually do a lot of research and actually upgrade those houses. We have burnt brick industries around this country. There's one in Ekiti, there's one in Enugu or so. There are 4 of them, burnt brick industries, that can be revived by, if we decide that, look, we're going to have a rural renewal, do something that we have never done before. The difference between our country, the difference between our country and many of these countries we run to for holidays and all of that, this country is beautiful, is because they determined at some point that they are citizens of their country. The residents of their country, no matter where they are, will never drop below a certain standard of living. Nigerians have suffered too much. It is totally unacceptable. Somehow we believe, many Nigerians now just think it's just okay. You live like, even worse than wild animals will live, crawl out from anywhere every morning, live from hand to mouth, beg people for money, and we just believe it's okay. I'm saying that, our party is saying that this is not okay. We can do a lot better than this.
Okay, now I'm going to talk to you about money in politics, because that's one of the problems you have in Nigeria. But before then, I'll take a break now and then let my PD play us a clip of the picking of the nomination form, and then we'll discuss about what money is doing to our politics. PD, please.
Mr. President couldn't have accepted this from us. Mr. President,
That was President Muhammadu Buhari receiving the nomination form bought for him by the pro-APC group, National Consolidation Ambassador Network. Speaking before receiving the 45 million naira form, the president faulted those who defected from the All Progressives Congress. In his words,